Hi, this is Graphically Alex coming at you with all things fat related. If that's something that interests you, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. Today, we're going to be looking at a fat acceptance thought experiment. I was just looking and I found this and I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do the thought experiment. I don't know exactly what it's going to be. I just know barely any, and we're going in totally raw. So I want to go ahead and do that. Let's go. This is not a Tracy reaction. This is somebody else.
The fact that you are fat means whatever you're doing is not enough and you should do more.
Okay, we're going to do a little bit of a thought experiment. Go along with me. It's going to require some imagination and some effort, but this is going to be very, very useful, especially if you're someone who is interested in being a part of the fat liberation movement, and if you're wanting to divest from anti-fat bias that our culture has taught you. So let's do a thought experiment. Let's imagine that we all were raised in a culture that taught us that the weight of someone's body was something that they could not change. Similarly to somebody's...
Okay, well, if that was something we were all taught, which to be honest is kind of what's being taught in the United States today, right now, and you're still having such an issue, but what I was going to say is, if that is what was taught, that would be a lie. Okay?
Stature, how tall they are or how short they are, similar to eye color, skin color.
Weight is not similar at all to eye color or skin color. I mean, this is like desperately grasping at straws here. We are getting desperate. Even in terms of height, it has to do with nutrient deficiencies that can make you shorter than you actually would have been otherwise. It's not like just a totally natural thing. So, yeah.
Color, hair color, that the size and weight of someone's body was similarly unchangeable. Now, I know your mind is already arguing with that, but we're just going to put those arguments.
You said, what if society taught us that? You didn't say, what if that was the case? So I'm telling you, what if it was taught that way? It's already happening. It doesn't seem to fix the issue. You guys still have so many problems. You're still so upset about everything. So clearly it hasn't worked. All it's done is confuse a lot of people.
To the side and let them be there, but I want you to stay in control of your thought process and just go, how would I feel differently about my own body size and weight? And how would I feel differently about other people's weight? I imagine that
I would be really mad because I'd be lied to. And I would find the truth out myself, probably, and like I did to a certain extent. And I would be angry about it. I would be angry that I was lied to and told this blatant lie. I mean, am I reading it wrong? Didn't she say that? Yeah, let's imagine that we were all raised in a culture that taught us. Yeah, so I would be very upset about being lied to. That's the answer to your question.
that the size and weight of someone's body, arguments to the side, and let them, how would I feel differently about other people's weight?
As far as other people's weight, I would feel more empathy because I'd be like, wow, they were horrifically lied to as well. That's awful. What a horrible culture we live in. What a horrible thing to be done en masse. What a horrible lie to be told to so many people. And I feel so bad for these people that believe the lies. That's basically where we're at. Again, I don't think in today's America we really have to make this a hypothetical. That's basically where we are. Okay? So I've never really seen a hypothetical situation about a situation that's already currently happening. It's weird.
I imagine that for some of us, we might feel this tremendous relief from the shame of how we got ourselves here. And for others, there might be this anxiety and this discomfort about how they can't feel better than somebody else.
Okay. There is so much, like, within fat acceptance, there are so many assumptions about other people. And I understand, some people can be intuitive. Some people can understand things. Some people can kind of reach out and, be deeper with their empathy or whatever. The fat acceptance community is definitely not known for that. I have said it many times. People get extremely pissed when I say that a lot of times people who are super morbidly obese, they struggle with feelings of empathy because their body is in a flight or fight response at all moments because they're in a survival state, a state of survival. I have gotten so many comments saying that I'm crazy for saying that, as if I haven't experienced it myself, as if I haven't experienced it in other people, as if other people haven't experienced it in their lives. So what I'm trying to say is, within a group that struggles with empathy, they cannot read other people. I need you to understand, Amber, I know this is an old video, but if for whatever reason you happen to watch this, people who are typically athletic or fit, they are not worried about you. They're not thinking about you most of the time. There could be a very select case, but most of the time, even people that have problematic, toxic ritualistic behaviors and these kinds of things in the athletic space, they're comparing themselves to somebody with a smaller body fat percentage, or they're comparing themselves to somebody who's a lot closer to them in fitness than you. Most people are not thinking about you. They just aren't. And that can be a whole other issue. That can be another complaint. It can be somewhat valid. I have talked a lot about how this issue, it is somewhat talked about, but in general, it isn't. Most people don't think it's important. Most people don't think it's serious. Most people oversimplify it. But I need you to understand, if anything, the issue is that people are not thinking enough about super morbidly obese people, not too much. You're not on their radar. They're not comparing themselves with you. It's probably the other way. Which again, excessive comparing has to do with toxic ritualistic mindsets. It has to do with E followed by the letter D. It is not normal. It isn't normal. I think we need to just look at where our bodies are. And that's about it. I don't lose weight with the intention of constantly competing with everybody else or constantly thinking about things. I mean, there are moments where I do think about it, where I kind of think about people that I've known in my life, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I'm thinner than them now. That kind of thing. That does go through my mind, but it's always more like a joke or not serious or not like deep. It's just kind of a funny thought, if somebody I didn't like is fatter than me now. It's funny to me, but other than that, it's not that deep, trust, because it doesn't keep me going in the middle of the night. It doesn't give me hope to keep going in life. Like, it's not that serious. I have a lot of other things that I look towards and that motivate me and that push me forward. It isn't comparing to other people. So I just don't think that she understands that. As far as the how I got there part, like I said, I think that her hypothetical is stupid, but we'll go ahead and try to steel man it. If she was saying that your weight is something that could never change at all, well, then I would have been thin because I was thin as a child. So I just don't think that she understands that people actually, their weight changes and they gain weight. So I don't know. I just don't think this is working. This hypothetical is not giving. I would have been thin if my weight never changed. It's like end of question, end of discussion. But okay, let's see what else she has to say.
For some of us, there might be a lot of anger and rage that might surface
Yeah, towards the people who lie, for sure. Like
at
you.
how fat people are being treated when we have this idea that they got themselves here and it's their fault. And if they tried harder, they could be thin and therefore have all the privileges that come with being thin. I imagine for some of you, it might be the first time that you can understand and relate to the indignation and the anger and the rage that fat people experience about not having the same access to things like medical care and seating and clothing and the ability to move freely through the world without being harassed that thin people get.
Nobody has the ability to move freely through the world without being harassed. I'm sorry, that is a mythological thing that doesn't exist whatsoever. Everybody gets harassed at some point in their life. It's way overly idealistic. I can assure you, certainly on the issue of thin versus fat, holy crap, I'm certain that thin people have been harassed. I mean, what the hell? The amount of like I said, a complete lack of empathy, a complete lack of understanding that a person must have to have these mindsets is truly incredible. You heard it here. Thin people are never harassed. Thin people never have medical access issues. Thin people never have any of the other things she said. It's so stupid. They never have issues fitting in a seat. They never have issues with clothes. I mean, this is stupid. So dumb.
I imagine that some of us would suddenly be aware of how exploitive and ridiculous and harmful it is that there is this $70 billion a year weight loss industry that is profiting.
And is there anybody profiting upon you being fat? Are you not profiting upon it to some extent? Are you not a fat liberation therapist? Are you not profiting off of people being severely overweight? What's worse to you? I can assure you, Miss Amber, you're never going to make a dime off of me. Ever. You will never make a dime off of my being fat. Screw you. I'm sorry.
Off of us believing this lie that we can lose weight with their programs. I imagine for some of us, we might not even know.
How about a lie that we can't lose weight at all? That's okay though. It's okay to sell that lie. That one's fine. Is it? Okay. You guys, I'm trying to keep it together, but I think the witch is coming out. No, this turned. I can't with her.
Do with ourselves? Where would our energy go? What would we think about? What would we do?
You'd want our money to go to you. You'd want our time and energy to go to you, wouldn't you? Oh my gosh. As if you're not trying to sell something. Oh, Amber. Oh, Amber, you think we're stupid. You think we're really stupid, don't you? So stupid. Interesting.
Every day if we weren't pursuing weight loss? What would we talk about with our friends and around the water cooler and at lunchtime with our coworkers if we weren't talking about our diets and our wellness programs and our pursuits at staying healthy or thin? I imagine that some of us might feel this tremendous relief about what it would feel like to interact with our family members.
I think a lot of people would feel a soul-destroying despair at the thought of never being able to get your health in order, never being able to function normally in terms of weight, never being able to get to a place where you can be in a better position. I would say a lot of people would be extremely despondent about that. Hopeless. Absolutely, utterly hopeless. I think it would be a soul crushing thing for many, many more people than what you are thinking.
They weren't bringing up our weight every time we saw them. I imagine that for so many of us who are parents, we might feel this huge relief about not having to worry about what our children's bodies look like and what they might experience in the world. I imagine that for so many of us, there's this reclaiming of time and energy and thoughts.
But what about when you have less energy because you're unhealthy? What about when the supermorbid obesity takes up all your thoughts because it's something you can't distract yourself from anymore because it keeps getting worse? What about when all your time goes to dealing with health complications from the morbid obesity? Is that free time? I don't think so. I don't. I'm never going to sit here. I do not, in my opinion, I do not glorify or glamorize weight loss on this channel. I don't. I talk about the negatives all the time. In fact, from many people in my life, I am constantly told I'm too negative. But I think it's important to have that because we often hear only the positive side. I do tell you guys the positives. One of the positives is, even if I don't feel that great at this time, even if I don't have much energy or time, even if I'm struggling in a lot of different areas of life, I can still show up because I'm not super morbidly obese. I can still pursue things because I'm not super morbidly obese. I can still perform multiple jobs because I'm not super morbidly obese. I can still be there for people in my life because I'm not super morbidly obese. And that's the hope I have because I'm healthier. So even if things are hard, even if things get difficult, I can continue. I can go on. I have a staying power I did not have before. And there's hope in that. There's a hope that you want to deny people. And I say, hell no. We are not denying that here. There is a hope. You can get out. Even if you have to be strategic, even if it takes years, you can get out. You can get out of supermorbid obesity. You don't have to settle for it. You don't have to accept it. I will never, ever promote accepting it. I think it is a horrible thing to accept. I think it's awful. I think we accept it way too much in the United States. It needs to stop. It's horrible. It is a horrible way to live and it is unnecessary. You can get out and it is better, period. Even if it isn't perfect, even if it's not glamorous, even if it's not some weird overglorification of how you're viewing it in your mind, it doesn't matter. It's still better because even if life is hard, you're healthier. You have staying power that you didn't before. And you'll see, I'll show you guys this December. This is one of the hardest times of the year for me. I'm here. I'm here. You want to see last year when I didn't post that much? I wonder why I didn't. Because I wasn't well. I was struggling. And would you believe that that year it was still better than years past? 2022, oof. There's nothing on the channel from there. I was so sick. 2021, I was going insane in December. So 2021, super sick. Or super anxious, constant panic attacks, constantly freaking out, constantly unstable. 2022, constant migraine, super ill, had to lay down in bed almost all of December. 2023, could still function at work, but was very, very, very tired, was dealing with a identity crisis at the time and struggling. 2024, we'll see. Negative, a little bit pessimistic, complaining, but still able to do everything. And I do way more than I did. I could only do one job. I'm doing two, for example. I'm not even that sick. I'm sick. I'm like a little bit sick where it irritates me, where I'm irritable. It's probably why the witch hat is out, because I am irritable. But I'm not, it's nothing compared to what I've been through. It's just not. Just saying. Next year, December might just be a blip. Might not even matter. It gets better. You can get out. Don't listen to her.
And effort that we would get back if we weren't spending so much time being concerned about the weight of our bodies. This thought experiment.
I think when you're super morbidly obese, your weight should be your top concern because it can cause imminent death. It is very dangerous to be that size. And people hear that all the time and they think, oh gosh, and then they ignore it. But it doesn't matter. It's true. It doesn't matter if you ignore it. It is affecting you. It affects you all the time. If you got out of it, you would see just how much it affected you. And then you probably would grieve a process that you didn't do it sooner. It's that much. Or in my case, I finally got to a place where I wasn't deathly ill and I had an identity crisis because I didn't know who I was without being deathly ill. That's how serious it is. So I do think it should be your top concern. I always say, especially from a super morbidly obese perspective, weight loss, getting your weight in order, getting your mental health in order, getting out of E followed by the letter D, getting out of super morbid obesity, losing weight, getting to in a sustainable way, all those things, it should be your number one concern. And at the end of the day, if you have B followed by the letter E followed by the letter D, that has to be your number one thing that you're fighting every single day because it will kill you if you don't. It is deadly. And especially if it's severe. Even if it isn't severe, you're probably not going to be able to sustainably lose weight if you have those mental health issues. It's the root of it. You have to tackle the root and you have to fight it every day. And people don't want to hear that, but it should be your top priority. Remember, it's dangerous. It is deadly. People die from that. It's not cute. It's not funny. It's not any of those things. That being said, I don't want you to fear it. You have to not fear it. That's how you get out. But you do have to take it somewhat seriously. You have to work to get out of it. You have to fight the mindsets. You have to break them. And you have to do a lot to lose the weight. I told you guys when I was super morbidly obese, I said it many, many times, I have to do a whole ass Eras tour. Had to do a whole ritual with a stage dive to get out. It was hard. It's tough. But you can do it. Just because something is difficult does not mean that it's impossible. It doesn't mean that losing the weight is like changing your eye color. That is bullshit. That is not true. Do not listen to this.
Can bring up a lot of reactions inside, some of which are really freeing and liberating, others that are really uncomfortable. But the
It's not freeing at all, and it's certainly not liberating.
truth of the matter is that the weight of one's body is largely outside of one's control.
Not true. That's actually a blatant lie.
And is related to things that people
False.
cannot change. Things like
False.
whether or not you were raised in wealth.
Wealth, that makes zero sense. If you can't afford food, you can't gain weight. Try again.
Things like socioeconomic status, things like genetics, things like
Where's the fat gene? Where's the gene that makes you 350 pounds? BS. Not real. The closest thing you're going to get is an epigenetic. It's something that's malleable, plastic, can still change. It's not similar to eye color. There's no diet to change your eye color, is there? Nope. Stupid. You think we're dumb?
trauma.
Trauma? You can heal from trauma. Are you going to push the idea that you can't heal from any trauma? Really? Are you a therapist? Did I see that right? Hold up. I thought I saw that. I thought I saw that you were a therapist. But trauma is unhealable? Yep. Trauma therapist. You're a trauma therapist and you're saying it's unhealable. Very interesting. So interesting. Okay, okay.
Trauma, medication.
So why should anybody talk to you? Very interesting. Why should anybody take you seriously? So interesting. Medications, chronic pain. Oh, yeah.
Chronic pain. Things
Oh, yeah. You know, as far as I know, you guys, every single medication, it turns you to 350 pounds. It gets you to be over 400 pounds if you take a medication. Same thing with, what else did she say?
like socioeconomic status, things like genetics, things like trauma, medications, chronic pain.
Chronic pain, yes. Chronic pain will make you super morbidly obese. No, it won't. You know, we're not talking about, on this channel, I am hardly ever talking about looking like a model, having abs and all this stuff. I'm talking about some pretty basic stuff. I'm talking about, on this channel, what I push people towards, I'm talking about 24.9% body fat for men, 30% body fat for women is not unattainable. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it's great. But in most cases, chronic pain is alleviated by not being obese. In most cases, you don't want to let your medication make you go totally out of control. Because again, whatever you're taking the medication for is going to get worse with obesity and higher levels of obesity. It isn't smart. If you have to be more strict on certain things because you're more ill, then you have to be more strict on certain things because you're more ill. It is what it is. Before this year, I hadn't drank a drop of alcohol in 3 years. And this year I had one whole, couple glasses of wine at a wedding. I can't drink because of my hypothyroidism. It does not help. I have to be strict. Other people, they don't. You have to consider yourself. You have to care for yourself. The sicker you are, the stricter you need to be. You're the only one that's going to suffer with it. And for what? So you can make her feel better about herself? I mean, what is the point?
Things are outside of people's control. And I'm not going to spend this video going into weight science. That's a whole graduate degree.
Please spare us from that.
Program that I cannot share in a 5-minute video. But I want you to practice unlearning what we are all taught about weight.
So that I do agree. I think we should unlearn the weight is genetic. Definitely unlearn that. That is trash. Absolute trash. Okay?
Is that it is under a person's control, and if they wanted to, they could change.
If you gained the weight, you can lose it. It's just that simple. Bing.
And really sitting with the reality of what if that's all untrue? What if the size and shape of one's body is something that they cannot change?
What if? I don't know. What if pigs fly one day? What if? What an interesting hypothetical.
How would that change me? How would that change how I feel about myself and other people, and how would that change my behavior?
Like I said, I never would have gained the weight in the first place. But damn, I did, didn't I? There were behaviors that led to that. What if I never would have gained the weight in the first place? That's the answer to your question.
I would love to hear what came up for you.
Oh, I'm sure you would.
Experiment in the comments or make a stitch or.
Oh, I'm sure she would absolutely adore this.
With deleting comments and blocking.
Oh,
folks.
I'm sure.
Please no weight loss.
I'm sure. I'm so sure. Because you're in a delusion, and heaven forbid anybody says something outside of it. This woman, horrible, 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 horrible. No.
Just let me know what came forward for you.
Okay, well, I let you know. I hope it was a blast for you. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Oh my gosh. Hopefully y'all can handle it. The witch is out. I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have a witchy December, but I can tell you we certainly did today. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good rest of your day, night, etc. Peace.